Hi, this is our recap of the show.
Arrow. It's a weird show.
The episode is called Trust But Verify, and this, I think, was probably the best episode of the show that they've done. Do you think it was the best episode so far?
Maybe.
The main plot of the episode was about an old army buddy of Diggs, played by Ben Browder of Farscape, who Oliver thinks is involved in armored car heists. And I gotta say, the opening scene of this episode was sort of a collection of comic book tropes. There was an armored car, there were paramilitary guys, there was knockout gas. It was all very very dramatic in a very comic book way. It's almost the most basic plot you can imagine. There's someone's robbing armored cars, and of course Oliver, using the magic computers, is able to track it back to a security company called Blackhawk, which is probably sort of a dig at Blackwater, which was a very controversial private security firm in Iraq. And also, Blackhawk is the name of a DC comic book about a group of heroic fighter pilots in World War II. Interestingly, a very short-lived member of the Blackhawk team was named Ted Gaynor, which is the name they gave to the villain's character in this episode. And I'll say, Ben Browder was really good, and the final confrontation between him and Dig was one of the better scenes the show has done, but he didn't get enough to do. They spent most of the episode arguing over whether he was actually a bad guy. He was obviously a bad guy. And this is one thing the show ought to work on. It's very good at action scenes. It's getting much better at dramatic tension and character development, but it's terrible at constructing mysteries. Both this week and last week, there's just like a predictable red herring, and then there's an obvious twist, and nothing is at all a surprise.
Take this part out. Okay. I just noticed that I'm wearing the same jammies as last time.
Yep. And the detective work is all really ridiculous. I mean, Oliver just comes in to Felicity, who works in this all by herself in this basement. She is never around any other person. Just Oliver shows up with some ridiculous story about a scavenger hunt, and I need you to break this military encryption for my scavenger hunt. I mean, he's not even trying to come up with plausible lies, and yet she just goes along with it. So what was your favorite part?
At the end where Oliver's bodyguard gets the grenade
Dig.
launcher, whatever.
Oh yeah, that was great.
And he just moves out of the way and then blows up the bad guys.
That was really good. The weaponry in this was impressive, although I'm not sure you can stop a grenade launcher with a trash can lid. I thought that was maybe a little silly. The visits to Flashback Island were actually much better and more relevant to the plot, and just more interesting in them, and just better done.
Maybe the bad guys on the island were working with Lucas's dad.
That's possible. That's very possible.
I mean Tommy.
With Tommy, with not Lucas's dad, with Tom.
Why did I say that?
You think the guys on the island are involved with Merlin?
Yeah.
With Tommy's dad? I think that's very possible. I think we're working up to some kind of connection between. Apparently, John Barrowman's character Merlin went off for a year after his wife died, probably to become an archer with whoever taught Oliver to be an archer. So this is going to be some kind of. I think this is going to tie all together in a Batman Begins kind of way. We got a lot more of John Barrowman this week, who is a very fine actor. Although John Barrowman is probably one of the most charming people in the world, but his character, and maybe this is how it's supposed to be, but his character is just surprisingly clumsy in social situations. They have a dinner where he's trying to talk his son into shutting down his dead mother's free clinic, and he's just totally clumsy about it. He immediately starts talking about his murdered wife in the bluntest possible way.
That part got me confused.
And then he just shoves the paper in front of him. It's very awkwardly staged, and he doesn't. It seems like the character is supposed to be more of a mastermind, subtle manipulator, and he's not coming off that way. I think this is the first time Dig referred to the headquarters as the Arrow Cave, which was kind of funny. He also pointed out that maybe it wasn't the best idea to have your secret hideout below a busy nightclub, but we'll see how that plays out. This week they seem to set up a lot of things that are going to pay off over time, a lot more of the secret plan. There is one unintentionally funny sequence where John Barrowman's character summons Moira urgently, and she has to break off a day with her daughter, and she has to arouse all this suspicion, and it leads to all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's because someone wants to gentrify a project, and he wants her to talk about it. Was it really that urgent? I mean, were they like breaking ground, and she's got to run over and lay down in front of the bulldozer? It seemed like the writers could have come up with a better urgent situation than someone's building condos.
And Oliver's sister says that that her mom should have been on the boat
Yeah, it was pretty cold.
She was getting mad at her for cheating on a bunch of people.
That was cold. Well, she wasn't really cheating. She just thinks she's actually taking part in a huge criminal conspiracy that will kill thousands of people, but she's not cheating. So tell us about what happened to Oliver's sister in this one.
Oliver's sister got into a car crash. She got her car for her birthday, 18th, and the way she got it was because she had drugs. She was arrested.
She was on drugs. She was using a drug called Vertigo, which is actually the name of a Green Arrow villain. And from the previews, it looks like the guy dealing this drug is also going to be called Vertigo. And that could be really cool. Vertigo is a really cheesy, interesting character from the comic books. He's sort of Eurotrash who can make people dizzy. So this could be a really interesting take on that. And it seems like they're setting up some kind of romance between Dig and his dead brother's wife, which I could just do without. I don't think that's really what he would do, and I don't see any point in going down that road. His brother was killed. His brother was killed by the Deadshot guy, the assassin, who is supposed to be dead, but I'm not buying that. I think he'll be back, and I think Dig will get some.
He was shot in the eye with a.
Yeah, but he's going to be back with like a bionic eye. You heard it here first. All right, that's been our recap of Arrow.